Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to day 2 of the SanDisk SHOUTCraft Invitational. And what a great day it's going to be here in Group B. My name is TotalBiscuit, and once again, I am joined by Artosis.
That's right. Yesterday was just fantastic, TotalBiscuit. Like, this is an amazing StarCraft weekend, I have to say. Yesterday morning, I get up, we do a ridiculous group of death. Then I go to GSL, watch a group of death again, wake up early this morning, watch some Home Story Cup, just ended, here we are, and this lineup for this group is like the past and the present for StarCraft 2.
It really, really is. Two titans of yesteryear. Guys that would be winning championship after championship. Man, I was going through the stats for DongRaeGu, for instance, to do his little promo video, and I was like, wow, 12 Premier Finals. 12. That's an absurd number. And then, of course, we have HerO, who, in 2014, picked up another Premier title with IEM Cologne. And then we have... It's a bit weird to even call them new kids on the block, I suppose, considering how long they've been around, but they've really come into their own in the past few months, that being Zest and CJ Byung. Both on fire, and of course one of them, the reigning GSL champion.
Yeah, really Zest and Byung right now are the two most impressive players from their race. The fact that Zest Royal Roaded a GSL and then won the GSL Global Tournament, and I gotta tell you, he's like the only Protoss I really pay attention to right now. He's like replaced Rain and Parting for me. And then you have Byung, who is doing so well in Pro League, it doesn't even make sense. This guy's 17-5 in Pro League, TotalBiscuit. Like, that is a 77-point win percentage. It's so much higher than anyone else's. I actually looked through these stats, which I don't normally do, but I'm like, who's even close to him? And the answer is nobody. You have to drop down to Sleep, who's 1-0, and that doesn't count.
No, no, it doesn't. There's got to be a bit of a baseline there. It's like, wow, Sleep has 100% win ratio in Pro League? That's insane.
Exactly.
Byung, it is ridiculous, and I have heard many people make the argument that he has done so on the back of phenomenal TVP, at a time when phenomenal TVP is perhaps a little scarce.
You know what? He's beaten all the good Protosses, so, I mean, there's some truth there, too, but he's also very recently beaten Life, Sulky, and Flash, so you can't tell me it's just TVP. This guy is actually just killing everybody.
Yeah, he is. He's really, really great. HerO, of course, was known as the ace of CJ for the longest time, and then Byung comes along, he rolls up, and he says, I got this, don't worry, you can take a little bit of a breather while I just flatten these fools. And he has been doing that over the past few months. And let me just put it this way, I was very disappointed to see it happen. The reason is, I picked him up in Season 1 of Fantasy Pro League, nice and cheap. Now he costs a fortune. I can't even get him for my team. I had to put him in the captain's slot and throw Hush in there just because he was cheaper. And, oh god, it was a disaster for my stats, man, I gotta say. So, he has a lot to answer for.
You can't be putting Hush in your team, man. That's a tough beat.
He was cheap. I had no choice.
Well, I mean, Byung, as long as he's on your team, you're doing well, because there's no one even close to him for win percentages. He's like, what, I think second overall, or maybe third in the Pro League standings. So this guy is a beast. Wouldn't be surprised if he makes out of this group today. But the fact that he has to play against Zest first, and Zest last night just killed in the group of death in the round of 16 of GSL. So, I mean, it's a tough one.
You know, we've seen it time and again, the GSL curse that falls upon so many players, where they win their GSL, and then everyone's out to get them. You know, everyone's had their eyes on them, and as soon as they get into their group stage, suddenly they find their builds don't work anymore, that they're being torn apart by things they never saw coming. And Zest is one of the few that is defying that by saying, oh no, I actually am that good. This is no fluke. You need to get this into your heads right now.
Yeah, it's very true. Zest actually puts out more perfect games than any Protoss that I've ever seen. It's actually like, it's gross. It's like Rain last year, you know, when Rain was just seemingly unbeatable. And of course, still playing very well, but Zest right now, man, he will just put out games that you're like, oh, you couldn't win there. Protoss must be imbalanced.
Yeah, he does make it look that way, I've got to say. And he is at the top of his game at the moment. He will, of course, be joining the other Kesper player, Byung. But the starting match is going to be a classic. And I say that because it's been a long time since we've seen it. In fact, 2012 was the last time we saw these guys play a best of 3. I believe it was at IPL Hut Import Nights in Wings of Liberty. Which is weird, because you'd think they'd both run into each other at some point in Heart of the Swarm. Apparently not in televised play, no.
Yeah, you would think so. It was really weird when you told me that yesterday, because I'm like, really? I'm just so used to seeing these two names pop up absolutely everywhere. They both won so much, traveled so much. You'd imagine we'd see them play against each other more, but I guess not. And, you know, both of them still in very good form. HerO, I feel like, has had maybe a little bit of a rougher time lately. Like, he did fall out of WCS America against, I believe, Revival and Huck. And, you know, it's a little bit tough. You'd expect him to get pretty deep in that, like a round of 8, a round of 4, something like that, maybe even a championship. But still playing strong games. DRG, on the other hand, still completely Code S material. I think he's got the record now for how many Code S's he's been in. And doing well overall. Yeah.
They give it to so few people. And while DRG might not be the complete monster he used to be, I don't think anyone really doubts that he can still put it out when it counts. Even in Pro League, he has a decent record. Not an exemplary one, but a decent one. And frankly, for anyone coming in from the ex-ESF lot to dive into the shark pit that is Pro League, being able to maintain a decent record from one of those teams, I mean, that in itself is something to be very impressed by. These are not the kind of situations where you can just leap into Pro League and do well. It takes time to really get going, especially for teams like MVP. They're used to things like GSTL, now they're in Pro League, they're up against the most experience that StarCraft 2 has to offer, and frankly, they are equipping themselves really well, and DRG does actually have quite a lot to do with that.
Yeah, I mean, he's done pretty well in Pro League, and the thing about Pro League that I think a lot of people like underestimate when we bring up the stats or how well someone's doing in Pro League is they're like, well, you know, he's only got DRG's only, you know, 46% or whatever it is in Pro League right now. But it's not like this is his record against all pro gamers. This is his record against the absolute world's best, because they keep coming out over and over and over. It's not like every pro gamer gets to play in Pro League. It's the best 4 or 5 players on every team play almost every single time. So that's like super impressive.
Yeah, and we are talking about best of 1 format. This is best of 3 double tournament group stage. And his form right now, actually against every race, is solid. But statistically, his recent form, I believe in the last 18 matches, has been very good against Protoss. I believe it's something like a 66% win rate right now against that. So that's not too shabby. The recent defeats he's managed to put on the board, he 2-0 Creator in the qualifiers for Anaheim. He has, of course, lost to Paralyzed, but, of course, he did also beat Paralyzed before that. That is the curse of the dual tournament coming in there. He recently beat Stats. He recently beat Squirtle, both in Pro League. He beat Squirtle again in the GSL Global Championship. He barely lost to Parting, you know, as you're well aware. He can still put it out there. And then we have HerO, who actually is hitting a bit of a bumpy road at the moment. It's very strange to see like the 2 favorites for WCS America, J-Dong and HerO, knocked out again and again. Both went out in the round of 32, which is very surprising.
Well, as you well know, WCS America has become quite stacked over the years. It actually kind of looks like an older GSL Code S. So
it does, yeah.
It's, you know, to fall, it's sad, and we'd love to see HerO get further, but it's inevitable that sometimes you're going to fall out earlier than you want in a tournament that tough.
Yeah, it will happen, and it did happen, I think, at the behest of PvP after PvP, actually, for HerO in particular, so that does certainly happen. But the WCS system has prevented us from enjoying DRG versus HerO for a very long time, and I think it is about time that we address that injustice, Artosis.
Yes. It's a great way to put it. I'm looking forward to this. It's been a long time coming, and it's really hard to say who's going to be able to take this game.
Yeah, certainly. And I think both of these guys on a good day have what it takes to take out either of the Kesper players, and I'm hoping that we don't see these guys plummet in this group, because of course Zest and Byung are sitting as favorites, but I would never underestimate either of these guys. Ridiculously tenacious and can bring it when it counts.
That's right. You know, either one of these guys could get out of this group. I would say that Zest is kind of a favorite here, but you can't say ever that DRG or HerO just isn't going to make it out of the group.
No, because every time people say that, they get proven horribly wrong. Everyone was saying, oh yeah, HerO's past his best, and then he just goes and wins IM Cologne out of nowhere, and he looked pretty much untouchable, especially against Zerg, I might add. I was telling you about that match against Jdong where I was just tearing my hair out in frustration. When it comes to Protoss mechanics, I hesitate to use the term abusive, but if I were to use it, I would definitely use it to describe what HerO does with warp prisms, because it is a nightmare, an absolute nightmare.
That is for sure. I'll agree with you there, TotalBiscuit.
Alright, Overgrowth will be the first map here in our best of 3 series. One will advance to play the winner of Byung and Zest. One will, of course, fall to the losers bracket. We'll see who it will be in this best of 3 as we do not, in fact, get that. Oh, that was a quick GG. There we go. DRG, unfortunately, failing with the loading there.
Yeah.
If only he was using a SanDisk Extreme Pro SSD to load this game, he would have already been in it, and we would have begun the match. But unfortunately, he did not.
Yeah, and you know what? If he happened to be using it and it failed, don't worry. 10-year warranty. No problem.
Indeed. Absolutely. 10-year warranty, which is pretty much longer than almost any pro gamer's career.
That's for sure. By year 10, you're becoming a commentator. That's
yeah, no doubt.
Happen.
No doubt. You're joining EG with a nice fat paycheck, and you're relaxing and casting whatever you damn well please.
Yeah, that's exactly the case. Well, I mean, now that we have to wait for this to be remade, we know the map order. It's going to be Overgrowth, Frost, and King Sejong Station. I think that is about as good a map set for these 2 players that you can get. I feel like all 3 of those maps are pretty fair both ways, and kind of go in different ways. Like, maybe Overgrowth is slightly Zerg. I know that Protosses love to choose Frost. And King Sejong Station, even though, like, really late game can become quite a Swarmhost map and is pretty good for mutas all game, definitely Protoss can be quite maneuverable there. So it's a good map set to start out on.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. It looks like we're getting everyone back into this game, so that means I can turn the versus screen back on again, and we'll go and try it once more into this. Interestingly enough, it was HerO that picked Overgrowth, and it was DRG that picked Frost, and of course, King Sejong picked itself. Indeed.
Okay, that's not what I was expecting, but sometimes we see stuff like that. Well, we'll see how that works out for HerO on Overgrowth. You know, he's always had his own crazy ideas, I'd like to say, about, you know, the way to play matchups and, like, how to play it on certain maps. Definitely a very stylistic player.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you were to talk about stylistic Protoss, Liquid HerO would be top of the list. There's no doubt about that. And it's his flair that brought him so many fans. And if he couldn't execute it, nobody would even pay attention to him. But he can. Time and time and time and time again. His execution is so very good. People call him top 1 control for a very good reason. He can be that good. But he also has a bit of inconsistency. He can tilt.
Sometimes he relies a little bit too much on his control, thinking he can pull off things that nobody can.
Yeah. And unfortunately, every now and again, that is his Achilles heel. But we will see whether or not it serves him well today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to day 2 of the SanDisk SHOUTCraft Invitational. This is Group B, and this is your first match. To the northeast position, I present to you our first contender. In the red trunks playing Zerg, the final boss himself, MVP, DongRaeGu.
And in the bottom left of our map, haven't seen him doing too much in a little bit. Still an amazing micro-base player. It is Liquid HerO.
Still pops out in Pro League now and again. Does pretty well for a rather bloated IM roster at this point. They've been taking all the other teams, of course. They brought StarTale on board, and then it's like, well, I would like to borrow some Liquid as well, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's for sure. You know, and they have a very good roster as well with players like Life, Trap, Younghwa, you know, the list goes on.
Good
so
depth.
He doesn't get to play as much as some people, but he's over 50% at 6'5".
Yeah.
And that's solid, man. When you look at the level of competition in Pro League, the fact that this guy can travel as much as he does and still have over 50% in Pro League just speaks to his skill.
Yeah, there is a reason why the vast majority of Kesper players are basically landlocked in Korea. They're not going anywhere, and even when they're given the opportunity, many of them turn it down. As we saw with DreamHack Bucharest, there was a spot open for a Kesper player, and I believe, wasn't it HerO was about 5th or 6th on the list after 5 other players turned it down? Which,
well,
I think speaks to their dedication, you know?
It's, you know, especially when you're in a Kespa team, it's really, really important, or an original Kespa team. It's so important to do well in Pro League. That's really oftentimes what your paycheck is based off of. It's what your coaches value the most. So
it is.
You know, it's hard for them to get out and travel to these events, whereas HerO's very lucky to be on a great supportive team like Team Liquid, which would like him to do such things as travel.
All right, well, DRG kicking things off with an economic bang. 3-hatch before pool here from DRG. And we also saw a Nexus first play from HerO.
Yeah, this is the greediest build against the greediest build. You know, the Nexus first into Gateway behind your minerals, that is the Protoss equivalent of 2 hatcheries before your pool. So it looks like these guys gearing up for some pretty solid macro to come.
Yeah, it seems like that is the case, and I'm glad to see our game start off that way. HerO just kind of sharking around and threatening, but I believe that DRG does know that the Nexus is down. He got his Overlord over there nice and quick. It's not a particularly big map, so if HerO is trying to pretend that something's going to be dropped, then DRG isn't biting, and he's just keeping an eye on that probe just to make sure that it doesn't have free reign.
Well, the probe just kind of checking for gas timing, seeing, oh, do you have gas yet? Nope, turns around, and of course, as soon as he turns around, DRG's like, oh, you were checking for my gas? Well, I'll take some gas now.
Yeah, why not? Now would be a great time to do that. But very, very greedy openings from both players, which usually bodes fairly well, although there's certainly nothing stopping a Protoss player going into a big 2-base play off the back of this.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility, and HerO is a player that, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he mixes in some 2-base builds here today. It's just, when your control is that good, you're oftentimes going to rely on all-ins, because with less units you can do more, and that's something that we see from parting as well. And as I was saying yesterday, HerO was parting before parting was cool. You know, he was the micro-base guy that could pull off these crazy 2-base attacks.
Yeah, and we don't really think of HerO as a macro player all that much. He is not the sort of person that will be rolling around with 200, 200 in a 6k bank. He wants to make things happen early in the game when control can be used. Like you said, you know, there's not so much you can really do with a 200 supply army when it comes to fancy footwork.
Yeah, it becomes kind of a death ball, and of course there's still micro involved, but it's not the type of micro that HerO sets himself apart with. No. So, you know, he wants to use his strengths early on, and we'll see how he chooses to end up doing that this game.
HerO being very diligent, removing Overlords from the map, which is nice. He already got the Scouting Overlord in the base. He caught the one over to the side there with the Mothership Core. So that's nice. That means that DRG, for the moment, is flying blind on his side of the map, and aggression has begun. And was anyone surprised? No, of course not. We have double Stalker, Zealot, Mothership Core, and Probe Rush towards the third base here, as DRG tries to build up the Ling and Queen count to deflect it.
Well, the probe is kind of interesting. In fact, he's going to throw up a pylon, which I wasn't really expecting, but okay, we'll see if he actually gets any Warpins in. With these 2 Stalkers in the Mothership Core, he can do a lot, but I don't think he can do enough here.
He lost his Zealot very quickly to an excellent surround here from DRG, and the probe went down as well. So while these 2 Stalkers are annoying and they've managed to pick off a decent number of Lings, a Time Warp was used there to not amazing effect. Really only something thrown down to make sure DRG couldn't then surround the Stalkers. It was used to allow HerO's Stalkers to escape, which of course is very important. Losing those Stalkers basically says, I've lost all map control, do whatever you want. A DRG would love to try and catch them. In fact, it looks like he might. HerO's out in the middle of nowhere with those 2 Stalkers. DRG's gonna take those.
Oh, that sucks. HerO did a good job saving them, but then to leave them there, I guess he just... You know, here's the thing. This goes back to that gas scout timing, where he moved in, and as soon as he left, DRG made the gas. So he really didn't think speed would be done right then. That was as quickly as speed could have been done without him knowing about it.
This
so that was
actually gonna die! Wow.
Nice. Whoa.
That... Jeez. That, not a great start here from HerO. I mean, he has, of course, enough to secure his base at the moment. There's nothing Lings could really make their way through there, but losing the Mothership Core, there was no reason to allow that to happen. And, of course, those 2 Stalkers, he thought he was safe, and as you said, speed completed before HerO expected.
Yeah, it's rough, man, but that was good play by DRG, I have to say, and it was a cute little attack by HerO, but at the end of the day, losing Mothership Core, a Zealot, and 2 Stalkers to force a few extra lings and kill a few extra lings wasn't really worth it. So we'll have to see if he can kind of recover from that. He is getting +2 in Blink without a 3rd base, so we might be seeing that 2 base all in.
Oh, well, Ling Run-By is on the way. It's going to catch a probe, and there's a pylon wall-off that's been created, but there is that one cannon. I wonder if HerO will decide to turn back here. He should be able to warp in a unit or 2, but I'm just a bit worried that he will not be able to maintain this wall. He warps in 2 Zealots, perfectly placed Zealots, to complete the wall off. That is the HerO we know and love, certainly, and he will re-wall off there. And now he's threatening this 4th base from DongRaeGu with a fairly significant army. He's up against, right now, unupgraded Roaches and a few Lings.
Well, DRG's going to have to get a lot more than what he's got right now. It does go in for a nice round, but Blink is finished. Going to go ahead and force field the bottom of that ramp so the Roaches can't stop him. Does force a cancel on this 4th base, but he's got to do more than cancel a 4th base here.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Canceling the 4th is great, but DRG was not necessarily even expecting that 4th to live at the best of the times. Like, okay, fine, you know, I might as well give it a shot, especially considering I've killed your map control. But HerO is getting aggressive. He's about to have +2. He will be up against +1 Roaches, but that's +2 with Blink and a decent number of sentries with a Mothership Core support there. The surround comes in from DongRaeGu. He does have a lot of Roaches coming in from the side, and HerO is sent packing. The sentry's caught out of position completely.
Oh, that was brutal. Losing all of his sentries there, taking a lot of damage on these Stalkers as well. I don't think he's going to be able to even hold this pylon now. There's just too many Roaches here. Doesn't even matter how good your micro is in this situation.
He's in a corner. You don't micro out of that. And DongRaeGu just comes in with a Wrecking Ball. It's 50 supply to 134. DongRaeGu looking absolutely dominant in this match. GG. Ladies and gentlemen, and the first map here in this best of 3 series goes to DongRaeGu in a resounding fashion.
Yeah, that was a little bit one-sided. Unfortunately, his early harass didn't really work out. That quick gas grab after he scouted caught him off guard, and his 2 base all in, it fell short. I'm a little bit sad here. That was more one-sided than I was expecting.
Yeah, I was expecting maybe a little bit more out of HerO, and it seemed like, especially with those Ridicule force fields and his re-wall off looking really good, it's like, yeah, this is the HerO we know, this is the HerO we know, but DongRaeGu, he had great creep spread around his 3rd, so almost all the fighting was going on there. He smelled what was coming, and he was able to get a great surround and focus down those sentries. There was still sentry energy available. There could have been force fields, but really, I don't think there was even enough sentry energy to create enough force fields to make that work. I mean, he was still kind of out in open territory where a big surround could happen.
You know, it is true. It was like a hard place for him to attack through. I think that the all-in altogether was maybe a little bit too slow there. DRG just had too much for him to get in and get into position right away. Maybe he needed to skip the 4th and go right to the 3rd, something like that. But whatever it was, man, he needs to go ahead and fix it, because we need the dream TotalBiscuit. What we need is HerO to win this group so that we can have that marvelous match tomorrow of HerO against HerO.
Yeah, we do need that. You know,
That's the dream.
We were considering it, but the way that we had to set the groups up, because it was actually HerO's birthday yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Happy birthday, HerO. Yeah, so we actually did. He requested to be in Group B, of course, before he knew what the groups were. I think he now maybe regrets it, considering. But, you know, there was no safe group for HerO to be in. But regardless, yeah, we put him in Group B as he was having birthday celebrations. So here's a hope that he doesn't bomb out of this group. He needs to get things together here. Next map will be Frost, so there's all sorts of great possibilities for HerO to pull all manner of things here.
Yeah, I gotta say, I really would prefer for him here to go into 3 bases for an attack like that, because you can still definitely do like a you know, +2 Blink Stalker attack off of 3 bases, but at least that'll give him some sort of backup if it starts to go wrong like we saw in that last game. Whereas on 2 bases, if it goes wrong, you just GG and get out of there.
Yeah, I think you do. But it's not like HerO can't play off more than 2 bases. He absolutely can, and we might see a macro game out of him here on Frost. We'll see. But DongRaeGu is looking on point, I gotta say. DRG did not make mistakes that game, and frankly, he got small victories that he had no right to have. I mean, getting that Mothership core really shouldn't have happened. Getting the Stalkers, understandable considering the speed timing, but still, those are nice little victories that you don't expect to get. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. Frost LE shall be the venue for the next encounter to the southwest position. In the Blue Trunks, currently down 1 game. In your best of 3 series, the Liquid Protoss, he is HerO.
And in the southeast position of our map, an amazing Zerg player in the red trunks, it's MVP's DRG.
DRG seems like the kind of person that could really rock a pair of red trunks, gotta be honest.
Oh, absolutely. This guy, he's a fashionable guy. He's actually a really funny guy. I've gotten to take a lot of plane trips with him, since obviously we both live in Korea and have gone to a lot of foreigner events. And a very, very friendly and dresses pretty well.
All the Koreans at least think they dress pretty well, at any rate. I do have
fashion out here is cutting edge, to say the least.
Cutting edge would be one way of putting it. ReYoung, Alicia, and Crank were in New York last year for WCS. I believe it was Season 1 in New York when MLG was still doing it. And I was out there to cast. And I promised them, I asked them, look, what food would you like to try while you're here in New York? And the resounding opinion was steak. Yeah, we want to have steak. Like, okay, well, New York's a pretty good place for that. We should be able to sort that out, no problem at all. So I look it up, I ask around the MLG office, and we decide on a reasonably upmarket but not ludicrously expensive place. But it has a dress code. And I check what ReYoung is wearing, and it's bright green Crocs.
Yeah.
And I check what Alicia is wearing, and they're bright blue Crocs. So I'm standing there in my suit and tie as HerO puts a pylon behind the natural here as the forge is about to finish, and just said to them, you stay behind me and everything will be fine.
Did it work out?
It did. I am taller than they are, thankfully.
Excellent.
We snuck in. Alright, well, DRG is already pulling drones and has actually stopped a cannon from going down. That's assuming that HerO ever wanted to do that in the first place. He is going at the Nexus immediately. He did put the Forge down at a pretty good time, but the thing is, it's also part of the wall-off as well. Is this very much just an opportunistic attempt here by HerO, or was he planning to cannon rush?
Yeah, you know, I think he wanted to, but was prepared to just make the Nexus. You know, nowadays you're going to try to cannon rush like 70% of the time in this matchup. It's just like the in thing to do. But against DRG specifically, this guy never doesn't check for it. Even before it became popular, DRG would always either send a drone immediately to your location or have a drone literally looking for exactly what HerO is doing. So it never really had too much of a chance here against DRG.
Yeah, but as you mentioned, it's not really that much of an investment. It does suck to lose a pylon. It also sucks, of course, to lose your scouting probe and not get that out. DRG's drone micro on point by the looks of it. But, you know, 5 drones were pulled, and they were pulled for a decent amount of time. It's not the worst thing that could have ever happened to HerO. It's by no means game-ending, and he just trucks on regardless.
Yeah, you know, everything's completely fine, and even those Zerglings staying behind to kill the pylon allow him to skip his cannon for, like, a really long time. Like, he doesn't even necessarily have to get a cannon until he decides to move out here. So, everything's actually totally fine for him here, and it looks like DRG just gonna go right into a pretty normal third base.
Yeah, and he doesn't actually know where HerO is at the moment, although he can suspect based on the timing of that probe getting its way across the map. Frost is a little bit big, so if a pylon turns up in your natural that quickly, you can assume that he's going to be fairly close by. But he does, of course, need to confirm that and confirm what HerO actually has. And HerO's doing pretty well on the work account here. With the Chrono Boost, he's got his 2 Nexus up at a good time. Another pylon going down here for HerO. And this one actually has gone unscouted.
Well, we'll see if he can actually get something going there. Is he just going to try to throw down cannons?
I think so.
It's kind of a risky move, but if this works out, it'd be huge. Oh god, a Zergling coming up. And you know what? There's only 2 Zerglings on the map. If he just makes enough cannons, this is actually maybe going to work out.
Yeah, and this probe is actually going to win the fight against the Zergling, considering the Zergling got walled in by the looks of it. Oh my god, HerO, you!
Wow.
That is so slick.
Well, with 2 queens here, I'm now really doubting that this is going to work out right, but he's bringing up a Zealot, he's bringing up a Mothership Core, and he is really trying for it.
Yeah, and that cannon is going to finish on full health, and he is going to protect it as best he can. He gets the Zealot into a decent corner, but he actually, unfortunately, misses a few swings with it, so he could have got a few more attacks going on there. But this cannon is still up, the Mothership Core is still up, there are Lings coming in, Time Warp goes down, and HerO losing his Mothership Core again. Stalker is trying to focus down this Queen and is going to get it, although he needs to get out of there right now. These cannons have been annoying. There's 2 more, and I think this has worked. Only just.
Yeah, it might. There's still a lot of Lings coming up. You know what? Actually, he's going to break these cannons, I think. Like, with 2 Queens coming up to tank and then all these Zerglings flanking it, he should be able to save this hatchery, which is going to be a little bit sad for HerO here. He's put a lot into this rush.
Yeah, that is true, and there is only 1 pylon powering this, and as you said, the flank collapses there, and I think he did go back into focus fire after that. He's brought Stalkers in to try and finish the hatchery off, but he's not going to get it. Even if, I don't know, maybe if he had focused a little bit more on that instead of allowing the cannons to auto-attack, he might have got a finish on it.
Yeah.
But that's only a maybe. Like, the hatchery was still at about 200 HP. Cannons only, of course, shoot for 20 each, so probably not. Regardless, there's now a lot of Lings at the doorstep, but they have no way in.
Well, they're slow as well. And the one thing we can say about that cannon rush is that it forced these Lings, and he's kind of low in drones for the time being. 38. So, I mean, it wasn't all losses, but definitely didn't do what he wanted. If he had ended up killing that hatchery, I feel like he would be in just fantastic shape. But as is, DRG can't be too upset with where he's at.
Man, it's a shame that those double Stargates that HerO has been building didn't have 1 Void Ray out of them just to go and kill that hatchery. That would be nice. Admittedly, it is a very large investment for something you don't necessarily want at this stage of the game. But we are seeing double Stargate Phoenix, which is really cool against Zerg. Seen that quite a lot in mostly Wings of Liberty, actually, more so than Heart of the Swarm. So it's not the most usual build at this point, but it can work very well.
Like, double Stargate is really HerO's build. He's the first guy that really started doing this a lot way back in the day, so he knows what he's doing. With this many Phoenixes coming in out of nowhere, he's going to kill all these Queens, plenty of Overlords, and plenty of drones. He's only going to be limited by his lifts at this point.
Yeah, 6 Spore Crawlers coming down. The Hydra Den has already finished, and of course there are going to be upgrades for range, but like you said, that's going to be a lot of dead Queens. Shame Phoenixes can't shoot down. That hatchery is still on 230 HP there. Lings managed to get a surround and are sort of threatening this third base location, and that Photon Cannon's not going to go up either. There are so many Lings that will be able to kill that, but the harassment goes in. Phoenixes go down because there are 2 Spore Crawlers there, so a decent amount of damage has been done here. And DRG denies that third base location.
He does, but he is spending a lot of Zerglings to do so. Doesn't have nearly as many as he had before, and with this Zealot support, I think HerO will be able to get up his third base while continuing this pretty big harassment with these Phoenixes. Yeah, actually, he's done a pretty good job considering how weird and messy this game has been.
Yeah, it certainly has been. Oh, that's a free Hydralisk, and it's strange for a lot of people, I think, to say, well, Phoenixes kind of counter Hydras, and they kind of do. If the Hydras are in the wrong place at the wrong time, Hydras die so fast to Phoenixes, but, of course, Phoenixes die so fast to Hydras. And if you got a nice big ball of Hydras, then you're not going to be able to touch them. But those small numbers, especially if you're reinforcing from multiple hives, and multiple hatcheries, in fact, can be really risky.
And more to your point, he's actually creating more Phoenixes as he sees how many Hydras there are. He's like, oh, you have Hydras, I better make more Phoenixes. And it seems counterintuitive sometimes, but, you know, it's definitely something that can work out. And, you know, obviously he's going to need to have a decent ground force as well, because the Phoenixes really can't tank much damage. But if they come in from the right angle, man, they definitely can devastate this Hydra army.
What I'm a bit worried about is the composition of HerO's ground army at the moment. He doesn't actually have anything that would really fight all that well against Hydras. If he had charging Zealots, this might be a different matter, but they're not. And this is going to be an interesting fight. Time Warp goes down. The force fields are looking pretty good. and he does bring in the Phoenixes to try and get the lifts, and he gets a decent number. Of course, he's going to lose Phoenixes in the process. The sentries tickling away and doing a good job of holding this so far, but what's on the ground here for HerO is rapidly melting away. He needs to bring in more reinforcements. That single Zealot is a brave one, but he will fall.
Well, he is warping in some more Zealots. He's almost out of lifts, almost out of Phoenixes as well, but still lots of Hydras and Lings here. Uh-oh, it looks like he's going to lose this third base, just barely not going to hold on.
Yep, he doesn't quite have what he needs to make that happen. The Hydra DPS is just too good at this point. There are not enough Phoenixes to hold this either. DRG knocking on the front door, trying to bust through the Hydras. More Warpins are coming in. This struck, of course, before the Colossus could come out. Extended Thermal Lance is nowhere near done either. The Forge falls. The third base will die, and DRG is looking to take a swift 2-0.
Oh, I tell you, we said that he was very stylistic, and we see that reflected very well in this game. Losing all of his sentries there. Oh, when you lose your third base like that, you lose a lot of Phoenixes, you lose all your sentries. That's so hard to come back from. Yeah,
it really is, and HerO is not looking up to DRG's position at this point. He's not... He doesn't even seem like he's in the same league at the moment, I've got to say. And DRG's just playing out of his mind and making no mistakes.
Yeah, DRG is like countering everything just right. Even when he gets caught off guard with those Phoenixes out of nowhere, makes 6 spores immediately, really minimizes the damage that they do. Look at this, he's even popping out Corruptors to help out against the Colossus, knowing that's really the only scary unit left for HerO.
Yep, those Phoenixes getting caught out, another one goes down, although they do take a Corruptor somehow. As killing a Corruptor with Phoenixes takes a while, but it happened. That's some dedication there. There are Void Rays now being added on into the mix. Extended Thermal Lance is about to be done. There is a Mothership Core. He doesn't have the energy for a Photon Overcharge as of yet, so if DRG hits right now, then this could be a problem for HerO, and I think that DRG realizes that. That's the +1 armor cancelled there. The Phoenixes come into the fray. The Void Rays activated. A nice choke point here for HerO, but this Colossus is on borrowed time. There are not quite enough Void Rays to kill the Corruptors off before the Colossus falls. He will need to bring in more. The Hydras are kept behind here, and this micro is going to have to be absolutely amazing from HerO, and I'm afraid he doesn't have the opportunity. There's the GG in. Wow. DRG flattens Liquid HerO in a swift 2-0 victory that looked lopsided, if I'm going to be honest.
It did. That was by far our most one-sided series so far in this SHOUTCraft Invitational, so a little bit disappointing in that regard. Does this mean that DRG is playing super well, or that HerO's falling a bit short? I think it's a slight combination of both, but we have to remember that HerO has like a very different style. He likes to play the game to his own drum's beat, I guess, and sometimes it'll look like that when you do that, and sometimes it'll look genius.
Yeah, it definitely can, and it just wasn't working out against DRG. DRG is a very no-nonsense kind of guy, and I have a feeling that he doesn't have that much patience for the shenanigans that HerO likes to bring out. And he just played rock solid, Zerg, no doubt about it. He took every opportunity he was given. He didn't miss one. He caught every unit out he could. He got the little advantages where it counted. He didn't lose his third to cannons, which is a big deal. He committed just enough units to make it work. And then he smashes down the front door.
He really knows his stuff, man. You can see that DRG is really improving by, playing in Pro League, keeping these crazy practice hours, not traveling quite as much as he was. And it shows. He's just so solid right now. Yeah, it's that good. And, well, that is HerO with a pretty bad start. And he needed a win. He really did. Because honestly, what he's going to have to face in the lower bracket is even scarier than that. He will have to go up against the loser of Zest and Byung. And then, assuming he beats that, he's got to go up against the final loser there and just win 2 more matches against incredible players. That's difficult. That's a tall order. It's a tall order indeed. Seeing a HerO versus HerO match and listening to us fumble over that is getting further away, unfortunately. But he still has his chances, okay? He's definitely... There's 3 different matchups here. It seems like he's not going to beat DRG today. Maybe DRG gets out in first place, and he just cleans up some Terran and Protoss scum. Who knows?
Maybe
it's
he
possible.
does. It is certainly possible. A PvP against Zest could kind of go either way. Obviously, Zest is amazing, but PvP is still PvP.
Yeah,
And Byung's current ZVP is... TVP is completely out of this world. It's entirely possible Zest loses that match, which will be coming up next. But alternatively, maybe Byung loses it, and then HerO has to prove just how good he really is against Terran. It is gonna be a very tough road now for HerO. This was probably the easiest match he was gonna have in this group, and he lost it decisively. And that definitely concerns me. He may be the one that goes out first. I certainly hope not, and hopefully we'll see a little bit more fight out of HerO in the next match when he's able to pull himself together. But if DRG keeps playing like that, we are gonna see a really good set of matches going forward in Group B.
Indeed, we will, and I think that we will. DRG is in really good shape lately. He has been impressing me in all of his GSL matches. Maybe he's not getting as deep as he used to, but he's still playing top-end Zerg. So, you know, maybe this is a chance for him to kind of redeem himself for not getting, you know, a bunch of round of 8s like he normally does.
Yeah, maybe it is. And that would be awesome. You know, he doesn't have that much else to focus on at the moment outside of Pro League. And he is showing some top quality play here. Now, what's coming up after the break? And it might be a little bit of a break because we're still waiting for Zest since that series did end a little bit earlier than anticipated. So we will be waiting for Zest. Byung is already here, so we'll be able to kind of start off there. Regardless, we will be going into Byung versus Zest, which could be the best damn PvT you have ever seen in your life. So I certainly hope you're all looking forward to that.
Definitely could be, man. Byung, just an amazing Terran vs. Protoss player. And last night we saw when Zest beat Innovation that his PvT is nothing to be scoffed at.
No, it isn't. Not at all. But Byung, we've seen the hit list, man. Zest is on that hit list. Alongside every other great Protoss player on the planet. Like, all of them. They have all lost to Byung in the last few months. So this is going to be a really, really cool PvT. I'm very much looking forward to it. We're going to take a break to prepare. And of course, when we come back, we'll be bringing you the one and only KT Rolster Zest versus CJ Enters Byung. And one of them will go on to face DongRaeGu. And man, either of them would be great, honestly, in that matchup. Either of them would be awesome. Kind of rooting a little bit for Byung, because frankly, we do love the Terran here on this stream. But we will see. I'm okay with either result, of course. Now, a quick word from our sponsors, guys. If you don't mind, this tournament is brought to you by SanDisk Extreme Pro SSD. If you're looking for an SSD and you want one with a 10-year warranty, there's really only one of those on the market, and it is the SanDisk Extreme Pro SSD. I've got a quick ad to show you, which will show you the benefits along with my sultry tones. We'll have a commercial break, and after that, we'll be bringing you Zest versus Byung. This is the SanDisk SHOUTCraft Invitational. My name is TotalBiscuit.
I'm Artosis.
And we'll see you shortly. Hi, my name's John Bain, and it's my pleasure to thank SanDisk for bringing us top-notch StarCraft 2 entertainment at the SanDisk SHOUTCraft Invitational. When I'm not casting StarCraft 2, it's my job to critique PC games, and to do that, I need the best hardware. One of the best upgrades that you can get for your PC gaming experience is a solid-state drive, so I'd like to encourage you to check out the SanDisk Extreme Pro SSD. It's engineered for super-fast read and write speeds and consistent high performance 24/7. What does that mean for your games? Faster load times, faster boot times, faster install times. Less downtime, more game time. Plus, they're easy to install, run cool, and are both virtually silent and energy efficient. If you're worried about reliability, no need. SanDisk backs it all up with a 10-year warranty. Game without limits when you step up to the consistent high performance of SanDisk Extreme Pro.